honored to have one of the greatest known legendary investor of all times, Jim Rogers, on our channel once again. And I'm sure if you have been investing for some time, it would be almost impossible not to know who Jim is, and thought it would be very helpful to hear Jim's insight, especially on the market that we have today. Since he's been through a lot of crashes and recessions, I thought it was really helpful, and I wanted to thank Jim for sharing his time today. So thank you very much, and I really appreciate it, Jim.
Well, Andrew, I'm delighted to be here. What happened today? I just woke up.
All right.
There's something I missed?
Oh, I think you missed a lot, but we'll get there. I'm going to ask you some questions, and I think you're going to wake up.
Okay. So the world didn't come to an end, though.
Not yet. I don't think yet.
Right.
But I'd be really curious to hear your thoughts on that as well. So,
well, the sun is still out here, so I guess something's okay.
Right. So first of all, I just wanted to, kind of ask a question for those who might just have recently started investing, like especially in 2021 or 2022 early, where they have never gone through these, I would say, down markets. I wouldn't say a recession, but a down market. And I was wondering if you could share how you felt in the dot-com bubble or subprime crisis, and if you felt somewhat like what we are having today in the market, or did it actually feel much worse back then?
Bear markets, if you don't know they're coming, are always very bad and painful and horrible for the people who experience them if they've never seen them or don't know much about them. So my first advice is that everybody should do research and learn about what markets have done in the past, because they will do it again. They will do it again in the future. Bear markets are recurring, declining markets, I should call them, and they've always happened, and they always will. And I certainly remember I got wiped out a time or two because I didn't know what was going on. And I warn everybody that there will be periods when markets will go against you, no matter how smart you think you are, and be prepared for it. But at least I hope you learn from the times when the markets go against you, because if you do learn, you will survive and probably come out way ahead someday. That does not mean it's a good way to learn. That does not mean it's a fun way to learn, but it is a good way to learn.
So would you say that you haven't felt that severe market panicking yet, I guess, in 2020? I mean, there was a huge downside, but I guess, just hearing from what you're saying, doesn't feel like you have had that severe panicking moment yet based on your experience.
Certainly not in 2023. I have not seen nor felt that kind of experience yet. When everything is collapsing, everybody knows it. It's all over the press. It's all over everywhere. People are talking about it, and it's a bad experience. You can learn from it, but it's better to learn by reading about it and knowing some history.
With the amount of debt that we have in our system, which is, I think, surprising, and the Fed, due to the inflation, they're continuously raising rates. Do you think the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank might be a catalyst for the next market crash that's coming? And, based on my research, I do know that, based on the history, a major crash doesn't happen overnight, but it usually comes after, these several small events occurring continuously, and then eventually the collapse comes. And I was wondering how you felt about, the banks collapsing in 2023.
Well, that's good insight. These things usually start somewhere where we're not watching. We don't think too much about it. We get over it fairly soon, but they build up and build up and build up. And eventually it's all on the evening news. And then everybody knows something is seriously wrong. What you just mentioned about these banks is perhaps, in fact, I would say probably, just another step in the direction of, oh my gosh, watch the evening news tonight. We're not to that stage yet, at least not in my view.
I know that you can't predict the market, but do you think that stage will be coming at the end of 2023, or do you foresee it coming in at 2024? What's your insight, your thoughts on that?
I'm not smart enough to know that. I would suspect by the end of 2023 or 2024 that we will have a bear market that everybody knows about. It's certainly on the horizon. The U.S. since 2009 has had the longest period in American history without a serious bear market. So we're overdue. That doesn't mean it has to happen just because we're overdue, but it always has. So I would suspect that in the foreseeable future, yes, we'll have a serious bear market.
One more question is, I'm really curious about this, but nowadays we have internet, we have YouTube, there's so many people talking about the markets as experts. And based on your experience, when a lot of people say, I think this is the most anticipated recession, as you say, but based on your experience, if there are so many people saying that a recession is coming on the news, on the YouTube, typically, does it not come at those periods because people already know? Or does it come as a surprise?
It's rare that everybody knows something and it happens. That's not the way the world works. It's not the way humans work. That's not the way history works. If everybody is thinking the same way, somebody's probably not thinking. So I would urge you that no matter what everybody thinks, then you should go to the other side of the boat and look around for a while. I have never seen a bear market that everybody knew was coming and that everybody was prepared for, or even bull markets for that matter. If everybody knows the bull market is about to erupt, it rarely happens that way.
So then I do know that, after the Silicon Valley Bank collapsing and then Signature Bank, the Fed, the government came in and they kind of lended the money to the banks to prevent further collapses. But do you think this was an appropriate move to temporarily save these banks? Or do you think it actually made the situation more worse and it's making this a bigger bubble
I know this is not good for the world, not good for the U.S., for the economy, or for the markets. No, absolutely not. The best solution is that when people make mistakes, they pay for the mistakes, and then other people come in and take the assets, reorganize the assets, and start over. But when nobody can fail, what's happening now is, in the U.S. anyway, if people get in trouble, the government comes in, takes the assets, gives them to the incompetent people, and say to the incompetent people, okay, now you can compete with the competent people with their money and their assets. That's not the way the system is supposed to work. When people fail, they fail, and the system starts over. But that's not the attitude in Washington and a few other places now. This means in the end, the problems will be even worse.
So I guess it's getting more scary based on your experience or opinion, I guess.
Well, if bear markets scare you, yes. But remember, many people make a lot of money in bear markets. There were people who came out of the 1930s extremely successful, extremely well off. So some people, the ones